Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Those Two Geeks. My name's Alex, his name's Joe. I think he wanted to do the intro, but I started anyway, so here we are.
And that is fine. You can call me Joe Blow from Idaho, and I don't know, because if you didn't guess that the PG language is out the motherfucking window on this one. Oh my God. I just got out of Deadpool, and my blood is like pumped.
Okay, so we haven't actually talked. Like, Joe literally just got out, and I think he's driving home.
4 minutes, I am driving. 4 minutes, I got it.
So I saw it yesterday, and Joe asked how it was, and I said, "Thank you for." I said, "I'm answering this question without an answer, so you don't think I'm ignoring you." And
Right.
I think your words were basically along the lines of, "You're a bastard."
You sandbag son of a bitch.
Yeah. So, folks, unlike our normal routine of we're not going to spoil anything for about a month, yada yada yada. Fuck it.
Nah.
It's not that we don't care. It's that we haven't actually talked about it to each other, other than last week, and each one of us is dying. None of our friends have seen it, like, in person.
Nope.
So we this is a thing that we're going to do.
It is a thing we're going to do, and we're going to do it proudly.
Well, I mean, we're going to do it. I don't know how well it's going to be done.
Just did not know, like, I knew an idea of what you're being for, right? Because I've seen the other two. I just watched the other two yesterday and the day before, back to back. And this thing just shatters the eardrums of everything you expected. Like, it was just crazy. The way it started out, I couldn't have expected it. And I absolutely, this is probably one of my favorite intros ever for a Marvel movie with how they started it. It just was so good. So damn good.
All right. So, I can hear you. I was writing out the title of the podcast.
Okay.
My thoughts are this.
Okay.
Is it going to be the best? Like, is it the best superhero movie I've ever seen?
No.
No, it's not. Is it better than 90% of the other ones that I've seen? When I left, I sure as fuck felt it was.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a movie that, again, like, folks, we're going to spoil stuff. We're not going to try not to spoil it, but at the same time, we might not spoil everything. I don't know how this conversation is going to go.
Yeah.
That said, like, I think that the way they carried on the sequel from Logan was fucking fantastic.
Oh, that was so good.
I love the way that, like, you hear Deadpool / Ryan Reynolds' voice. I was like, how are we going to do this while honoring Logan?
We're not.
And they didn't.
Oh, that was so fucking good.
That was, like, that's the way to set the fucking tone.
That was perfect.
Right? They set the tone. And it's one of those movies where I'm going to watch it again.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right? I think that everything about this movie, if it wasn't a Deadpool movie, there'd be so many things like, this is fucking stupid, and I do not like it.
I would be like, this does not work other than Deadpool, but
yeah,
you know.
because of who the main character is, or main characters are, but specifically because it's Deadpool, there are so many things that work. Like when you see Elektra and
oh, dude, we call that
right.
And all Blade too.
Yeah, and what does he say? Where's Daredevil? He's dead. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like,
she's like, meh.
That is hilarious, because then you see, like, Deadpool looks at the screen. I'm like, so many visual jokes, so many cameos in this movie, and I think as well, bearing in mind, it's heavily reliant on the TVA.
Yes.
That aside, if it wasn't a Deadpool movie, there would have been quite a few cameos in this that I'd have been like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
This doesn't work. However, I'm banging something in my hand as I'm saying that, as if people can see. However, because it's a Deadpool movie, having like Wesley Snipes come in and you see and Deadpool looks at the screen, or you have I don't know, fucking Ray Park back and Tyler Mane, and he's like, people have been waiting for this for 20 years.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. We have been, and it's one of those things where Deadpool can do all of these things Like the movie does all of these things, but because of the character ever so slightly breaks the fourth wall, smashes through the fourth wall most of the time, he's also the audience at the same time. So he's excited with what's going on. No one else seems to recognize that he's breaking the fourth wall apart from Nice Pool.
Yep.
And beyond that, I think it's one of those moments where it's just, this is everything I think you and I wanted Multiverse of Madness to be.
Exactly.
And it isn't. Like, it's more than that. It's everything we wanted Multiverse of Madness to be, and yet more, because it actually works. The story is cohesive, and they've thrown so many cameos in there, but they still work. Like Channing, like I think that having Channing Tatum show up as Gambit,
oh my god,
it was inspired purely because, and it's so tied to, like, that's such a reference to all of it,
play the character,
trying to play the character, right? Like, so many things Gambit says is a direct reference to Channing Tatum trying to get his hands.
And that's what I love. I love when he's like, I came out my daddy nuts ready to go. Them nuts were so buttery smooth. I just, and he kept sticking them in my mouth, and he's like, whoa, graphic.
I know.
But, like, I loved how terrible the accent was. That was what made me so happy.
It was so good. Oh, I loved it. Like, now there's so many good things about it. Like, I know I'm gonna watch this again.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those movies that, as a sequel to Logan, I think it does exactly what you want it to do, in that it's not in any way, shape, or form a sequel to Logan. It is not the same Wolverine.
No.
Right? Like, it's still Hugh Jackman playing him, or playing the various Wolverines we get in this movie for the most part.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, we're gonna jump all around. This shit's gonna have nuts in it. With Hugh Jackman, we knew he was gonna be the worst of the Wolverines. We had an idea. I thought they were gonna go the route with Mysterio, or somebody casting an illusion on the X-Men and him killing them like Old Man Logan. That's what I really thought they were gonna do. When it just turned out that he went to the bar instead and just didn't make it home in time, that's even more tragic, because he was shit-faced, and then he's like, then they went mutant hunting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, wow.
And then they were done. Like, I love the fact that you still saw Old Man Logan. So you know that even in a world or in a universe where Old Man Logan exists, who killed the X-Men, this Wolverine is still worse.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this worked better for the movie. I think, as graphic as this movie was with the blood and the gratuitous, like, crazy violence, I think him killing the X-Men would have been too much.
Agreed.
Because they had already basically done this in Logan, where Charles killed the X-Men himself by accident. So
exactly, and Wolverine killing them by accident, I don't think would have made sense. And I think they allude to that he didn't kill them as early as when you see Old Man Logan.
Right.
Like, you see Old Man Logan, and he's not the worst one. You see Weapon Omega, the one-handed Wolverine from Age of Apocalypse, and he's not the worst one.
Yeah.
And then,
you know what? Yep.
You know, like, you see so many different versions of Wolverine. Like, you got the fucking brown suit. You got the brown suit Wolverine. And I love the fact he didn't have a mask on.
Yep, the John Byrne. He's like, oh, John Byrne, line. Brown suit Wolverine, classic. That I love when he was like, oh, it's the Cavalrine. I was like, holy shit.
Fuck. I've read that this movie has ramifications going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the rumors that he has been signed on to Marvel.
Dude, I'm super okay if he plays Wolverine. I'm fine.
Oh, fuck. Same. Like, if that's the way they go, that he plays the MCU Wolverine, 100% fantastic. If he doesn't, like, and this is all we get is Henry Cavill in the MCU,
I'm okay.
It's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm fine. I loved how it's alluded that Hugh Jackman's coming back numerous times.
Yeah. He's like,
Deadpool's like,
90, motherfucker.
You till you're 90.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Like,
and then Nice Pool.
Oh.
Like, that was funny. I knew Blake Lively was Lady Deadpool. I knew she was.
I had a feeling that's who it was, but I was like, I'm not 100. The mask is so good. I loved fucking Wrexham Pool. Like Deadpool with a Welsh flag on his chest.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. That was brilliant.
Many of them were so good. I mean, it was just like,
it's one of those things where I love at the end of that scene where they're fighting the other Deadpools and they all just put themselves back together and like, oh, I guess these regenerate too. And like,
he's like, oh, fucking really?
Yeah.
But I love like Blade's in joke. There's only been one Blade, and there's only gonna ever be one Blade. And like he looks right at the camera, and so does Ryan Reynolds, and it's like that was a shot to Mahershala Ali, really bad. That was a big one.
Do you know what the funny thing is though? There's been 2 actors to play Blade because one of them was in a TV show.
Wesley Snipes and Sticky Fingers.
Yeah, that's who. I couldn't remember the name, but yeah, Sticky Fingers has played Blade as well, which I think is I found that even funnier.
Yeah, like they just ignored him.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's harsh. Like you just completely ignored him.
Now, was Juggernaut Vinnie Jones?
No.
Okay, I couldn't tell who it was.
No, he wasn't, and it was one of those moments where, oh, so you're the new Juggernaut, or they said something along those lines.
I went to the bathroom for about 2 minutes, so I missed that part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was just a very subtle, a very throwaway line, but again, like it's one of those moments where you can say that like, oh, that's totally different. Yeah, so it wasn't Vinnie Jones. I actually don't know who it was, but it's you don't.
The other thing is too is like Shatterstar was just sitting there in the apartment, even though he died in Deadpool 2.
I didn't even notice he died. I don't remember he died. I'm like, oh, maybe he survived.
Maybe it doesn't. Killed by the helicopter blade, rips him apart.
Oh, that's right. I assume Deadpool went back and saved him at some point, which is, I think, even better.
Right. So that was funny. The whole thing was good. This is one of those things that if you watched Loki season 1 and 2, it really helps you a lot.
100%.
Now, and this was not just gratuitous cameo after cameo after cameo after cameo for the sake of like blink and you miss it. They were really well done. I love the comic accurate Wolverine. He goes, oh, come on, little fella. Wow, comic accurate Wolverine.
No.
It was so amazing.
I was like, that's brilliant. Like, absolutely brilliant.
And you know what's cool, too, is like, this is the fight, like, when you want superheroes to fight in their comic books, like, this is the long, drawn-out fight that we got. Like, we never get a fight this good, except for, let's say, Batman v Superman was the closest I can think of between two heroes really going at it. But Wolverine and Deadpool, oh my God, when they're in the car and the song to Grease is playing, fucking, and they just murder each other till sundown.
I think my favorite thing about it is that it subverted the trope where you would normally get the fight, then the team up.
Yeah.
You still got a bit of the fight at the beginning when Wolverine went at Deadpool right away. But then they teamed up, and then he went after him again because Wolverine really cut Deadpool deep with whatever it was he said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When he said he was basically a fucking loser and no one would have him, couldn't even make a relationship work. And he's like, I'm going to fight you now. He goes, come again. And then they start beating the shit out of each other in that fucking, like, Honda Odyssey, which is so great. The movie was inspired. I mean, did it have every cameo I wanted? No. I'm glad it didn't, actually. I think it works better not having every single cameo that I wanted. Like, there wasn't a need to have all 20, 40 cameos that I wanted. You know?
Yep.
Because
I did read that Vinnie Jones they were talking to him about coming back.
Yep.
But the budget wasn't there.
That's
What I assume that to mean is that he wanted more money than
he's worth.
To put the suit on, because he had said that putting the suit on is a mental physical toll.
Mm-hmm.
And the other question then is if Toad, Tyler Mane, and the lady that played Lady Deathstrike, Kelly Hu, came back.
Yep. That's who that was. Couldn't remember who that was.
So that's one of those. Is that a case of they either took a pay cut, worked for scale, or just like, yeah, we want to come back because it's going to be fucking amazing. Let's do it. Because like the guy that played Pyro clearly had a bit more screen time in it, right? Like he was there for a bit longer.
Yep. I love it. Not everyone gets a speaking role. Shut up.
I thought that was brilliant.
That was so good.
And especially when you get like that kind of moment where like the movie isn't taking itself seriously.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to know how it holds up on multiple viewings. Will it still be as funny? Because I think
my audience was like really lame, to be honest. Like some of the stuff didn't hit as good as it hit with me. Like I was fucking like almost out of my seat on a couple things. I was so happy. My audience was kind of like, eh. Yeah, like no one popped huge for Blade. I can't believe that no one popped for Blade like that.
We popped huge for comic accurate Wolverine.
I did too.
Henry Cavill.
Oh my god,
was,
dude, that was
like that. I don't actually know what was said in that scene. Like once they saw Henry Cavill's face, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, he basically told him it was kind of like the scene of like First Class where it's just like fuck off, you know, kind of get out of here. I'm not helping you. But when you see Henry Cavill and you realize how much more jacked he is, you're like, oh my god, like, he's massive.
That's amazing.
Like, how do you get more jacked than fucking Hugh Jackman? Like, how does that happen?
I love the fact that throughout the entire movie, like, or at one point, Deadpool was like, "Yeah, you let yourself go after the divorce," and Wolverine doesn't really react. Be like, "Ooh!" Like,
what divorce? He had a divorce in real life?
Yeah, he's had a divorce in real life.
Oh, see, I didn't know. I thought that was just like a joke with like a, you know, just a funny like throwaway.
Just one of those gags. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he had a divorce in real life. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself right away. But I did hear that they had
It was so good.
Yeah.
And
then they separated in September, so
when he put his mask on, man, whew, that was great. He's like, look at it, the mask is intense. It's like Batman, but you know, he growls or something like that. It's just like funny stuff.
I saw the mask. I'm like, what? This is absolutely brilliant. Like,
so good. I love the whites of the eyes. The whites of the eyes is perfect.
I thought it was brilliant how he explained, like, why are you wearing a suit underneath your clothes? And it comes out, he's wearing it because he never wanted to be part of the team, or he didn't want them to know he wanted to be part. Like,
yeah, because he says Scott begged me to wear it all the time, and Jean, Storm, and Beast, and I never wanted any part of it. I would told them how fucking stupid they look. Man, this movie also might hit the mark for swearing too, because it's like not every scene is like swearing. I love even when Wade's selling cars and he's like, it's not the fucking Honda Odyssey. And she's like, you don't have to answer every question swearing. And he's like, I'm sorry, I don't have kids. Not that I didn't think about them. You know what I mean? Like, he's just matter of fact. And then Happy Hogan with Wade was good. I didn't expect that at all.
No. It was like everything about the movie just hit the right note.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
If you had to say the worst part about the movie, what would it be? Like, or did anything the worst part for you, or did anything not meet expectations or anything like that?
I'm just trying to think. What would be the worst part? Honestly, I think the Happy Hogan part would have been the worst. I think I could have done without that. I didn't think I needed it. It was a little confusing because, like, was he Happy Hogan in the 616, which is us? And how did he get there? He did have Cable's watch on at that moment. So I was just like, did he travel to Cable's universe? I mean, to Iron Man? Like, I don't know. Like, that was the only thing I thought was a little messy, was that he had already visited Happy Hogan, which would be Marvel MCU proper.
Yeah.
So he's going back? Like, how did that happen? I don't know. It's just confusing.
I can understand that. I actually thought that was one of the more integral scenes in the movie because it really explains where he's coming from.
Why he wants to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. It was an interesting choice.
That and what's it called? Not calling the Cloud Galactus. It's fucking Galactus.
I'm actually happy that they didn't call it Galactus.
Yeah. What do they call it? Goliath?
Elias. So it
Goliath.
wasn't Goliath. It was something. It was whatever they called it in Loki.
Whatever they called it in Loki. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And now again, like I'm fine with that. I thought that it worked. Yeah.
I'll put you on the spot since we're just like gabbing like girls. I think that for me, I'll say mine and then you say yours. The thing I was most pleasantly surprised by, the part that I wasn't looking forward to going in, and turned out to be one of my favorite parts of the movie, was whoever played Cassandra Nova was fucking fantastic.
Oh, unbelievably so. Yeah, unbelievably so.
She was so good. When he's like, all right, are you gonna, if I take this off, you're gonna kill me? Oh, I'm gonna kill you immediately. See, we're not fucking taking this off. I'll just twist her neck. Like, no. I just thought it was really well done.
I agree. Like, everything that they could have fallen into for this, that's dumb. Why are they doing that? They had an actual explanation in the universe as to why it was being done.
It was really, really well done, and I like, how he brought him back, and the TVA was really well done too. The prick at the TVA was a really good addition to the movie too. He worked well within the confines. I'm surprised we didn't get a Loki cameo. I'm surprised we didn't get some other cameos, but the ones we got, I was super happy with.
Yeah, like you could argue that we got almost every Fox movie cameo because they highlighted all of the Fox movies at the end.
Yes, we got many. Oh yeah, let's talk about the biggie. Chris Evans as Human Torch, which we knew a mile away was coming for a long, long while.
Yeah.
But
I thought that was brilliant. Like when you see him jump down, and that's a superhero, and I'm like, they've deliberately given him red gloves so that it looks like Captain America. Like there is no way this is Captain America, and I can't wait for this to happen.
Yeah, and then when he's talking and his Boston comes out, it's like super heavy Boston accent.
Yeah.
And he's like, gargle my juggernauts and this and that. And I was like, what the fuck? Because Johnny Storm never talked like that in the first movie.
No.
So it's just funny to like throw that in as he's a Boston guy, And I like the sling blade. I've been wondering the whole movie, like how the hell the sling blade was going to come into play. Not the sling ring. Doctor Strange's sling ring.
Yeah.
Because you saw in the trailer, you saw the sling ring portal, but you didn't see it on Deadpool or whatever. And I just figured Wade would steal that from the TVA and have it with him jumping around. But the fact that Cassandra Nova was like, there was a magician who came here, and I wore his skin around for like 4 days, and then he had this trinket in his pocket, and it was like, oh man, she's vile. Like, she's brutally vile, but she was so good. She was so good. Gambit made all the hate that I gave about Channing Tatum being cast as Gambit or ever to be cast as Gambit, I'm happy to take back. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy to take back because I really dug him as Gambit. I thought he was good.
Oh, he's easily the best Gambit we've had on screen between him and Taylor Kitsch.
He is.
I like the fact that he even alludes in part of the script, clearly alludes to the fact that he'd be willing to come back as well, which I thought was brilliant.
That was good. I like when he's like, so, what's your power? Oh, your power is close-up magic. Great. We're dead.
Yeah. He's so, like, it was just, I don't really have my thoughts in order for the movie yet because I haven't spoken to anyone about it yet.
Yeah, dude, it's all over the place. Remember, I just saw it.
I mean, we're usually pretty all over the place anyway.
This
is beyond all over the place. So after, I think it's been, 20, 25 minutes or so, assuming that anyone's still listening to us, we're going to try, or I'm going to say we're going to try and get a bit of structure going forward, but it's not going to last.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is a vehicle to get Deadpool and Wolverine into the MCU.
Which I find even funnier, the fact that they didn't actually end up in the MCU.
Exactly. So that's why I'm like, what's going on? Because I figured it was going to be something along the lines of when they made the bridge with the circuit with their bodies.
That's when they would vanish.
that no, they wouldn't vanish, but I figured they would have merged the timeline somehow.
Yeah.
Like a strand would have came where Vanessa and everyone stays, but they're in the MCU proper now. They went back to Wade's timeline.
Yeah.
And Logan's a visitor, clearly there.
Yeah, that's just like I love the fact we got Colossus in the background.
Yeah,
I love the fact that you still haven't seen the actor not in the CGI. I love that you got Daphne Keane as X-23 again.
Oh, she was good. She was good.
So good. Like if they end up with Daphne Keane as the Wolverine,
I'm happy.
I'm happy because you've had enough of an introduction to her now at this point that it makes sense if you don't see Hugh Jackman anymore, right? Like
she wants to be Laura Kinney. I'm very fine with it.
Absolutely. Like if Laura Kinney is the Wolverine going forward, because she's only 19 as well.
Yeah.
So you could have her show up in the MCU in a Spider-Man movie, right?
Yep.
And anything like that. Like I think you could do that so easily.
Oh yeah. We didn't get any like Spider-Man. A lot of people were talking about, we're gonna get Spider-Man stuff. I knew we weren't because they're not Fox. They were Sony. Sony isn't Fox. So like I just thought it was really well done. I popped for Blade. Blade was the big one for me. I was so happy. I think he is synonymous. He's like Hugh Jackman with Wolverine. Like when I think Blade, I think Wesley Snipes.
Mm-hmm.
And if Marvel wants to bring him back, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who else is going to come back because of this. I would doubt that Wesley Snipes will be Blade again.
I don't know. I think we could get him again. Honestly, I know he's not young at all.
Yeah,
but he looks perfect still.
Oh, he was in, like, he did well for the character there. I'm just curious. I don't know if they would want him because he's
a full feature. Yeah.
Yeah, in a full feature plus, well, the full feature maybe, but then in a sequel as well.
Yeah.
You can do that with Hugh Jackman right now. Like, give him this movie. Maybe he shows up again, but he doesn't have to be the feature anymore.
No.
Because he's established himself so well. Whereas Blade, Wesley Snipes, really, other than the trilogy, you haven't seen him in almost 20 years.
Right. That's true. I mean, I think Hugh Jackman is in Secret Wars. I think it's already established that both Deadpool and him are in Secret Wars 1 and 2.
I would expect so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
when is Secret Wars coming out?
2026, I think.
Okay.
Part 1. Yeah, so, I mean, we got a ways to go. The next thing coming out is Captain America Brave New World, which, it looks okay.
Yeah.
I need to see more. It doesn't look super impressive.
I mean, the thing is, I'm going to end up seeing it.
Of course.
So I'm fine with that, but yeah, like I'm going to end up watching it one way or another. It looked like the single trailer I've seen looks really interesting. I think it's going to be more of a political intrigue movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's going to be more like Winter Soldier than it's going to be like
which totally fine for that. I love Winter Soldier. So
I agree. Like, I think this is a kind of movie, like Captain America is a kind of character where that kind of thing works so well.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of working well, the fights, man, the fight choreography, so brilliant. It put John Wick fights to shame. I mean, it literally put them to shame. The opening using the adamantium skull, the skeleton was so inspired. That to me was a brilliant way to do it with Logan.
Yeah.
When he's using his fucking entire body. I love when he gave himself Wolverine claws and he stabbed himself. He's like, right through my own arm. And then when he stabbed the TVA guy in the ass and the other guy in the dick, and he's trying to pull the claws out, he's like, I'm sorry, I'm a new Wolverine. I don't know how to do this.
That's one of those moments of like, I wonder how much this is a callback to Deadpool's single arm katana in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Right? Oh my God, that was so fucking funny. The guy's like, get it out of my ass! Get it out of my ass! The movie was great. I love the costume. I love Wolverine's costume. Is probably one of my favorite costumes I've seen on screen so far.
So here's the thing. I love the Wolverine costume. Mm-hmm. After having seen the movie and looking at the leak for the Marvel Legend, I'm actually kind of annoyed that the Marvel Legend looks like that because
all yellow.
Yeah, it's not dirty enough.
Yeah, it's very, very clean.
Right?
Yeah, it was clean at the very beginning though when he first started in the movie.
It was, but he didn't have the mask on then.
Right?
So, like,
no, I agree.
If you're gonna give me the mask, give me the sleeveless Wolverine,
or with the bullet holes and
or give me alternate arms or something. So I'm curious to see how many more versions of this figure we're gonna get because you don't do new tooling for one figure, right? Like when he's got two distinct looks in the film.
You're getting another Wolverine down the road, the one you really, really want.
Yep. And they're probably, if it does well, they're probably going to do brown suit Wolverine from the movie.
Yeah.
And if you do brown suit Wolverine, well, then you might as well do the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine.
Oh my God, that was the shock too. When I saw the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, I'll tell you, you must have thought of me. When I saw Wolverine tied up to the big X, my stomach sank.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh no, I know what's around here. I'm like, please don't do this to me. Don't do them.
I was like,
I was so petrified. I was waiting for one of those tails to pop up. I was like, ooh.
I was like, oh, like either the Reavers or the Brood. I was like, one of these, and then it didn't. I'm like, well, Joe will be happy. I would have actually,
so happy.
I would have actually told you if they were in there, just as a heads up. There's a cameo you're really not gonna like.
Oh, I would have freaked the fuck out, dude.
Yeah.
That would have scared the living shit out of me. Like, it was bad enough that the trailer before the movie was fucking Alien Romulus on the giant screen. I'm like, God damn it, with the Xenomorph.
Our trailer was Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah.
And that was it. There wasn't anything else.
Yeah, we had Romulus in that, and I was like, I don't
this
like
is one of
aliens.
those. Yeah, I'm going to end up going to see it again. I think that they're playing now again here, starting at noon or 11 a.m. this week. So there is a chance that I'll do that again.
Oh, dude, you have to.
It's like I said flat out, like the first time I see this movie, I think in last week's show, because I feel like it was only last week that we spoke about. We did some predictions for it. So ironically enough, this show is coming out on opening weekend. So we've clearly we are gonna say very clearly that we said there were spoilers early on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like folks, I know there's probably some car noise in the background. Joe literally is driving back from the thing, and
I do apologize, guys.
No, I'll try and cut as much of it down, or at least mask some of the sounds. But again, this is one of those moments where it is like 5 hours earlier than we normally record on Friday.
Yeah.
So we are obviously in places that we wouldn't normally go. Joe is somewhere that he would normally be. I'm still at home. And you're on the highway, right? So you can.
Yeah, I'm on the highway. I'm gonna be getting off the highway in about 3 minutes. But it's like my brain is like soup right now from like just watching it and like letting it marinate. It was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. I didn't even give you a chance to marinate on this. I'm like, are you
Dude, not at all. Like you're like, you ready? I was like, let's go. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking
go. Love the scene when he finds all the survivors in the void. I thought that was a brilliant way to do things too, because I forgot that's what seeing Loki season 2 helps you is the void. So like now you understand the concept that these things, you don't just get pruned and you're gone. You're pruned and then you go to the void, and it was like very helpful because like I love how they just take the Honda Odyssey like outside the diner, and then they just drive like Mad Max style down the road for like 20 miles in the desert. Like it's so good the way they did everything, and it makes sense that you get Elektra, you get like just this hodgepodge of like characters. But I like how Gambit put the in front of everyone's name. It's like, yeah, man, the Wolverine, the Daredevil, the Punisher, it's like this. And then like they explained the characters we didn't get to see away by them just getting killed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is all you need, right? Like it's all that you need to do is have that moment. Now I think that pulling back the old Fox cameos was inspired because it clearly shows that this is Disney getting rid of this, right? Like now that they like looking at it in a real world. This is like not in the movie aspect.
Right.
Once Logan hit, there really wasn't anywhere for Disney to take that universe. So they literally did just close it off. And this is like, we're done with this. We're going to start again with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Elektra, we've long forgotten about Elektra, Blade. The X-Men are already all gone because, of course, they're already gone in this Wolverine's world and Logan.
Yep.
Then you had Gambit and the references to him not even getting a chance to exist.
Right, exactly. Very well done. And I like, I love Daphne Keane as, we said this, that she will probably be the sole survivor of Logan's universe. And she got pulled into the void somehow. Like, they don't go into how the TVA went about pulling them into the void. It's just clearly the TVA was cleaning up shop in all these worlds.
And I think that makes sense. We don't need to know why the TVA did it. We don't need to know how they did it, just that they did it.
Yeah, and then you get Thor holding Wade with his mask cap blown off, and he's like, wait, why is Thor crying? Oh, that happens way, way, way down the line.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about that right now.
Maybe we get that in Secret Wars. You know what I mean? Maybe that is Deadpool's final end. Like, because I can't picture Deadpool having too much longevity in the MCU. I can't see it too much because if you overuse it, and it becomes cliche and whatnot. And I don't think Ryan Reynolds is the type that will want to just gratuitously do it. He took 4 years to come out with this one. You know what I mean? Actually, it's 6 years. This came out in 2018.
Yeah, it's been a while.
6 years since Deadpool 2. We haven't seen Deadpool pop. Have we seen Deadpool pop up in anything else?
Not to my knowledge.
So,
now, bear in mind that you had Logan in 2017, you had Deadpool in 2 in 2018.
2018, that was it.
But that was also before you had Disney buy Fox.
Right.
So I think Disney buying Fox would have added a delay to this because you wouldn't have got maybe Ryan Reynolds would have put a second one out sooner.
Right.
Tough to say, but given that it's lost my train of thought. Given that I think that
waiting for the
so you had Disney buying Fox, then you had the pandemic, and then on top of that you've really got now Hugh Jackman's schedule lines up again.
That's what it was. I think he was like, I'm not doing the third one until I can do this.
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of a couple of different things that all worked at the same time.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Which again, totally fine with.
So good. I mean, I say that now, but if you told me like in 2018 you're not going to get another Deadpool movie for 6 years because we're going to have to wait for X, Y, Z, I'd have been like a little miffed off. But now having known like the outcome and the fruits of its labor, I'm happy that it took this long because they just put so much care into it and did it right. You know what I mean? They didn't cheap out on anything. The movie, the special effects was phenomenal. Like, the blood was great. Hugh Jackman looked better than he's ever looked in any of the movies. It's like, how is that even possible?
I think Wolverine lends himself to a more grizzled, slightly older look. Like, I think Hugh Jackman looks better as Wolverine now because he's 20 years older than when he was in X-Men.
Agreed. He looks like a kid when they were showing those X-Men clips. I was like, oh my God, he looks like a teen.
In some ways, I think whoever ends up playing Wolverine in the future, if it isn't Hugh Jackman, just age them up a bit, make them look a bit older.
It's going to be really hard for anybody to top him as Wolverine. I'm sorry.
I agree.
And it's like one of those things where it's kind of like, not Chadwick Boseman because he passed on, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you want to do it because can you do it? Like, can you do it justice again?
Yeah. Or is it going to be a case of like with Christopher Reeve where it takes them a long time to find someone?
Yeah, where people finally warm up to it and say, not my Superman. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But oh, dude, just really good shit. So going into the theater, there was a guy dressed as Wolverine doing the tickets, like right when we walk in.
Oh, cool.
But he had the metal claws, like the ones you hold.
Yeah.
He had the metal ones because I could hear them clanging, and I'm like, that isn't exactly the safest of things.
It seems kind of dumb in some ways too.
So dumb. I'm sitting there going, nah, those are fake. And all of a sudden, king, 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 king. I'm like, then he's like scraping them together, and it sounds like two knives. I'm like, oh, those are real. Okay.
Yeah, okay. This isn't the smartest choice, but
hope this guy is mentally stable.
Yeah.
Like,
shit. Yeah. I don't know if anyone ended up going in costume to one of the later showings, but like again here I saw that I think the first show was at 10 after 3, and then I ended up going to the 20 to 4 show. So
yeah, was your theater full?
No,
mine wasn't either.
I don't expect it to be full when you're technically going in during work time. I think, right, because you went on a Friday morning.
Right.
So there would have been, and it's an R-rated movie, so you're not going to get many kids in there at this time of the
Thank
day. So
thank God.
I'll always remember, and I'm sure I've told you this story. I'll always remember the first time we went to see Deadpool. I went with a friend, and he said, "Oh, I'm bringing my boy with me." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. How old is he?" He's like, "Oh, he's like 8." I'm like, "So I don't give a shit if you bring him." I said, "It's not my business to police what you do and don't watch." I said, "But do you know this movie's rated R, right?" He's like, "But it's a superhero movie." I'm like, "I know. It's rated R."
Yep.
He's like, "But it's a superhero movie." I'm like, "These two things can exist together." You have,
I know.
You had R-rated superhero movies before.
Watchmen.
This one, The Crow, right? Like,
yeah.
You've had R-rated superhero movies before, and this is Deadpool. I said, like, this isn't. I said, watch the trailer. I said, or at the very least, go to the movies yourself and then tell him if he can watch it. I said, I don't give a shit if he comes, but I need you to be aware of the fact that
it's not the greatest parenting idea.
Yeah, like this isn't like Spider-Man.
No, and that's what people think because the costume looks like
exactly, and that's what he thought. So he watched it. He said, "Well, maybe I what?" So we went and watched it, and he didn't bring his kid. And after he said, "I am so glad I didn't bring my kid to that." And I was like, "Right,
dude." I think I've told this story too, but this is a good time to retell it. So when I went and saw Deadpool 1, I ran into the same situation. Me and my buddy John went. It was so fucking funny. So it's like we went. It was like a Saturday afternoon, so it was the day after it came out, the day after the first day, and there was a parent in the front row of us. Like we weren't in the front row, but we were in like mid, and she was lower. It was her kid had to be about 4, and then her husband.
Oh no!
And so they sit down, and I am pissing myself laughing. My buddy John's like, "Oh man, they don't know what they're doing." So I told her, I was like, "Miss," and she goes, "What?" Like, "Miss?" She goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Did you guys mean to walk into Deadpool?" "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Okay." Second follow-up question: are you sure you meant to walk into Deadpool? And she's like, "Why?" She goes, "He's like Spider-Man." I'm like, "Oh no." I'm like, "He's like Spider-Man if a dildo fell out of his mouth." I'm like, "He is not like Spider-Man." She goes, "Well, that's really crass." I'm like, "Oh, you're in for an experience." I said, "I'm going to leave you guys to it." And like, she sat down, the opening scene of Deadpool where like he's killing everyone violently on the bridge. She's making it through, but like she's tensing it up the whole time. Like you could see her like in her seat, tensing. And her husband is probably dying laughing and peeing. I forget. But it was the funniest thing ever. I laughed so hard. I was like, "Watch this." I was like, "I guarantee if a fucking tit pops out, this lady's going to dive on him like he's a grenade." And sure as shit, the scene where Vanessa's tits pop out, she jumped on her son so fast, covered his eyes, swung him in motion up over her shoulders, and was like bolting out of the theater. I was like, "Bye-bye now." Because like, it's not my fault that you don't do your job as a parent to see what you're going to go see. Like, just because it has tights in it doesn't mean it's safe for children. Like, and I told her, I told my buddy John, I was like, "Listen, I am not a censorship bureau. I don't believe in that. My dad didn't do that when I was a kid. But 4 years old, even my dad would be like, "Yeah, Lane, we're gonna let him wait until he's like 7 or 8 before he sees this." He's 10.
I think that's what it comes down to. Is that, like I said, my buddy, he said like I watched Nightmare Before Elm. Before Elm Street, like Nightmare on Elm Street. He said I watched like Terminator, that kind of stuff when I was growing up. He said, but it was a different kind of violence on screen. Like we watch that now, and you're like, the special effects on it's are kind of fun, but it didn't feel as real as it does with Deadpool. Like it's much more. I don't want to say it's more gratuitous because it barely is, but it's more visceral. If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
And I think that knowing that, and then knowing what you're watching, like as a parent, it is going to be a bit more like you're going to have moments of, oh shit, am I actually letting my kid watch this? And if you do, and if your kid's used to it, like I'm not judging you for that. That's your choice.
No, hell no.
You've got to know your own kid to do that.
Yeah, I grew up without censorship for the most part.
Right? Like I remember watching Terminator 2 in grade 6. My mom's like, and how were you? She's like, I'm a bit upset that you watched it at a friend's house and they didn't ask if you could watch it.
Yeah.
But if you're fine with it, then that's fine. Because as long as you understand that language and everything, it's just part of the show. You shouldn't repeat it. I'm like, no,
that's exactly what my dad did. My dad was like, all right, let's lay some ground rules. Because we watched RoboCop and the guy gets shot in the dick. And my dad's like, okay. He's like, you're 4. Here's the deal. We'll talk about that other part of you a lot later. He's like, but for right now, you understand that is not a real robot man. And I was like, yeah, Dad. He goes, okay. He goes, you understand you are not to be speaking like that at school. I'm like, yes, Dad. He's like, you also understand you are not to tell the school that I let you watch this movie. I'm like, yeah, Dad. He's like, all right. And that was it. That was our talk. Yeah. But like, I used to be able to do everything. Like I could watch Mortal Kombat. I could play Mortal Kombat. That was the big one. Was like everyone used to sneak over my house, my apartment, and my dad and my mom would let them play Mortal Kombat. We'd play for hours, and then like the parents would call, and then it would just be like endless calls of, I can't believe you let my son do this, and I can't believe you let my son do that. And it's like, he's like, see, this is the shit we were trying to avoid. He's like, every parent's got to judge their own kids, like, gauge for what they can handle.
Yep.
But I can tell you right now, my dad wouldn't have let me see Deadpool when I was a kid.
Oh, same. 100%. If I had have tried to watch this when I was that age, it would not have flown. And I honestly, in some ways, I know I just said if you're gonna let your kid watch it, fair play.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have blamed my dad for not letting me watch this.
Yeah.
Right. There's just about every possible joke in there that you're watching. Like, I can see someone being upset by this. Some of it I think was deliberate. Some of it was just one of those things where, like, as a parent, I wouldn't be super thrilled to have that conversation with my kid based on this movie. Like that, like the drug use, the things like that. So 100% get it. At the same time, I fucking love the film. I think it's fantastic.
Me too. I think the drug use is like small potatoes compared to like, hey, friendo, pegging's nothing new to me, but it is to Disney. And then he's like, okay, you're going to give me crazy eye contact. You're going to bring it on, and then you're going to get real angry. Let's use that energy. I'm going to start in a line. You starting with you. We'll work our way down. I was like, holy shit, this gets more graphic, and it was getting better and better. That would be the kind of thing that if like I had a kid, I'd be like, all right, that is something I'm going to have an uncomfortable conversation about.
And I think honestly, it's just like the terminology, like, oh yeah, like that's not something that I would have been ready for no, that's not true. That's something that you should be ready for because it's a Deadpool film.
Yeah. And it was they just did a great job, like keeping the levity in the film at all times. But also, I'll say this, I heard a couple people bitch about the pacing. I saw nothing wrong with the pacing. It was very brisk for me.
I think I'd have to watch it again to see because I find the first time you watch a film, I never notice how bad the pacing is unless it's really shit.
Okay.
Like if you're watching it and you're like, my God, how much longer do I have left? That's when you know the pacing is bad. I didn't feel that in this film.
No, not at all. Even when he made the joke and he's like, home stretch, folks, we're almost there.
Yeah. I didn't feel that like that's just like I chuckled and I'm like, oh, I guess we're probably getting close to the end, but it never occurred to me that people would be finding it too long. The pacing felt right. But
it
again,
was 2 hours and 7 minutes. Like I don't think it was long enough. The thing is, though, it felt a lot long. There was so much crammed into 2 hours and 7 minutes once the credits started that it felt like it was a Spider-Man No Way Home style length of a movie, but it wasn't in a bad way. It was just they used that 2 hour, 7 minute runtime remarkably to get so much in.
Yeah.
Like it didn't leave anything out, I thought.
I would agree with that. Like I don't think it was too long. But I also don't think it was too short. I think if it was any shorter, it would have felt rushed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think honestly, if you'd have added more in or you gave things a bit more time, it wouldn't have been as good. Like I think they had the faster sequences and it balanced out by some of the slower ones. But some of those slower ones is where you had a bunch of cameos, so you're always on your feet, metaphorically. Yeah. You always ooh. It's just that in those moments, like other than the beginning, you're like everything is coming at you, but your brain isn't like, all right, so now we've got Wolverine versus Deadpool. Okay, now it's this fight and this fight. It's now you have like Deadpool sparring with Cassandra Nova verbally, or now you have Wolverine like you just got that guy fucking killed. Like, hey, he said those things. I couldn't stop laughing at that scene. I thought it was hilarious.
So many of it was hilarious. Like I love when he's like, that guy just died out of nowhere. Yeah, he died from fucking murder. You murdered him. I did not. And then like they just like, oh, he's like, you're gonna live. You're gonna live. I'm gonna live. He's just like dead. But if you notice, that costume was one of his modern costumes, the shiny one.
Yeah.
He just didn't have a mask. But he had the more contemporary Deadpool costume where he had like the shiny body armor type deal, which I thought was cool. Yep. I like how they went with so many Deadpools. I thought Lady Deadpool was perfect. She looked damn good in the outfit, let me tell you. God, Blake Lively is a gorgeous woman. And I like how even Ryan Reynolds points that out in the movie. He's like, this is getting uncomfortable. He's like, I'm going to tell Blake. You know what I mean? Like he would hit the wall once in a while and mention the fact that he flipped back between Ryan Reynolds and Wade Wilson so well that most times you're just like, they're the same person. They're literally just different names of the same guy. Like there's an extension that is just there. And I thought that's what works. I love how he had adamantium katanas. That was great.
I love how they explained it so that when they were fighting, there was a justifiable reason why he could block things.
Yeah, like, and I thought it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like, oh my God, the movie was so like gratuitous though with the violence. I mean, the scene in the fight in the car is probably one of the best fights I've ever seen in any superhero movie. I just loved it so much.
It was so good.
And when he's getting kicked out of the roof, you hear like, ah! He like comes back down. Like it just works in every way. It's just so good. And like I said, Daphne Keane did a good job. I like the callback where she puts on the shitty sunglasses from the store. Like they really made it work to a point where it like. I'm glad they didn't have Patrick Stewart in it. They didn't need to have him in it.
No, I agree.
Death in Logan. I was wrong about the Magneto cameos. Let's just go off on what I was wrong. I was wrong on Magneto. I was wrong on Punisher. I was way the fuck off on Ghost Rider. I thought they would have the balls. I thought they were going to do it, but that would have been more visual.
It makes sense that they didn't because you'd have to pay Nicolas Cage and then pay the budget to have the Flaming Skull.
Right. And the other thing is, like, you got a really good mix of people you've missed and then people who were never was in the movie. Yeah. Like, basically what they did was Multiverse of Madness, what they did with John Krasinski. John Krasinski was rumored to be Mr. Fantastic for so long. They finally paid you off by giving you him, but knowing that you're not going forward with him.
Yeah, like he's not going to survive, but this is going to be John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic for a few minutes.
Yeah. And I honestly think that's what we got with Channing Tatum Gambit. I think it was.
I hope not, because I thought it was really good. But at the same time, if I had to nitpick anything, it would be that Gambit's hair wasn't long enough. Like I felt his hair should have been a bit longer. Either.
It was weird. The mask was weird for me.
Yeah.
The way the mask fit him wasn't.
I think it was accurate, but I think the lack of the hair coming out over the top as more of a mushroom top is what made it a little bit less so. So
I think he's built for Gambit. I
was just going to say Channing Tatum is a heavily stacked dude. I think Gambit would be better served by someone in more like Tom Holland's physique.
Yeah, but I like him better than Taylor Kitsch. I like him much better. That's
without question.
Mm-hmm. I want to see it again just to like hear some of the parts that I missed with him speaking, because I swear there might have been the part in the car where like I'm gonna have to see it again. But when Gambit's talking in the car, I think he's just mumbling. I don't know if he's actually saying words because Deadpool's like, what Gambit's trying to say is he's like, and now we're just making things up. Like I think he wasn't even saying words. He was just like blah 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 blah. Blah.
Yeah,
it was the best because it was everybody who likes to do a French accent, and it's pretty much the American version of a French accent. Like every American you ask to do an impression of a Frenchman, that's the accent that comes out. That really poorly constructed.
I wasn't going to say that, but you are absolutely accurate. That is every bad impression of a French accent rolled into one. And
fucking true.
Because of the nature of the movie, it fucking works.
Yeah, if it was a serious movie, I don't think it would work.
No, and I think, like, other than Wolverine playing the flat straight man, 100% he is the unfunny part. But even he had lines that were pretty good, or like funny, or like
unintentionally funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were scripted to be funny, but the character himself wasn't trying to be funny, or it wasn't a case of Hugh Jackman gets a, I want to have a funny line to say. It's a, hey, if I get a funny line, it's going to be a go fuck yourself. Right? Like, that's the kind of thing he's going to get. So everything about that movie just worked. I thought it was brilliant, fantastic. Is it, like, for my money, is it better than Logan?
That's tough.
So I've been thinking about this for about 20 hours already since I saw Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I came out of Deadpool and Wolverine with a fucking grin on my face. It is brilliant. There's there is a surprising amount of emotion in it. Yeah. However, I think that Logan was, at the time, the swan song of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It was the end of an era, and I came out like, my God, that was, everything about that movie was perfect for what it did.
Yeah.
Can I answer the question, is it better than Logan right now?
I don't know. It's close.
I don't know. Like, I need to give, like, we're not even 24 hours away from finishing Deadpool and Wolverine, the pair of us. And I haven't seen Logan in a couple of months, so I can't really answer that. Like, I would almost need, this is going to be one of those questions where at the end of the year, if we do our top 10 comic book movies, I think that's when the question is going to get answered. As it stands right now, this is easily within my top 5.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. It is in my top 5 as it stands. Are you talking for the year or just talking of all time?
Right now, like, and again, I am fully acknowledging recency bias.
Yeah, of course.
Fully acknowledging recency bias. As it stands right now, I would put it in my top 5. This is a top 5.
Yeah.
So and again, this is a top 5 for me that's got Logan, The Dark Knight.
Yep.
Right? The Crow. I would put Deadpool and Wolverine in there. Will it stay in there by the end of the year?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this is your favorite of all the Deadpool movies, for sure.
Oh, without question. Without question.
It definitely beats 2, and I like 2 a lot still.
So the thing is that
I loved 1.
This movie works regardless of if you don't need to have seen the first movie for this movie to, well, no, that's not true. If you've seen all of the movies as references, it hits so fucking hard. So fucking hard. Yeah. If you're coming in having just seen Deadpool, Wolverine, maybe Logan, it's still going to be good. But like, why would anyone go back and watch the Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans in it? I mean, you might now, but you wouldn't have watched it for 10 years or more, right?
Agreed.
So the fact that you've got him coming back, you've got so many other characters coming back for 20 years later is fantastic.
I still won't go back and watch Elektra. I'm not watching Elektra.
I would not recommend it.
I enjoyed her in this, but I won't watch her in that again.
No, I would agree. I actually think this Elektra was from Daredevil and not from Elektra the movie, because I think they're different Elektras.
Are they?
I think that's how they would explain it now, but there was continuity issues between those two movies alone. So.
Okay, that's interesting.
But again, I have watched Elektra once, so I don't.
Yeah, I did too, and I didn't like it. I was like, this costume was from. No, you're right. This costume was from the Daredevil movie, the black.
Yeah.
When they didn't have the guts to give her the red. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Okay, top 5. This is tough. I'm just trying to think. Is it my favorite Deadpool? If it's not better than Deadpool 1, it's right there. Is it on par with No Way Home? Recency bias, I would say yes. I'm going to have to see it a few more times. Is it up there with Endgame? Same thing, I'll say. Endgame is like my pinnacle. I mean, that is just a great movie. Is it better than Logan, though? That is hard for me because I thoroughly enjoyed Daphne Keene. I enjoyed the Reavers. I enjoyed that stuff. What I didn't like in Logan, I think slow it down, was the Eden stuff with the children. I just thought that, I know it's necessary, but I just thought it was just kind of like a slowdown. And I also think the fact that you get like a merciless younger Wolverine trying to kill himself was good because the fights were amazing, but like there's no character work there. You know what I mean? It's nothing.
I think that's the only issue I had with that movie is if that had been Sabretooth.
Yes, exactly.
Right? However, that's I understand where they're going through with that, with the X20, X24, X23, that kind of thing. So I understand what they're doing there, and I totally get it.
Seeing Logan, if you're seeing this, I think Logan is required watching.
100%.
Because Daphne Keene, her character, Laura, it gives you what Laura gained out of that movie. Mm-hmm. It validates Laura's character. Otherwise, she's just a girl.
It validates Wolverine, or Logan's sacrifice in that movie.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. Opening scene aside, where he's using Wolverine's skeleton as a weapon, which is hilarious. Okay. It also validates and honors that sacrifice, and I think that, like he said, how are we going to do this while honoring Logan? We're not. So we'll put a scene in where I'm using Wolverine's dead body to fight, and then we go and bring a new Wolverine in. So,
right, I think they did a great job.
I agree. I agree.
Let me just think. If we're talking Marvel movies of all time, it's definitely in my top 5 Marvel, for sure. But if we're throwing in like Dark Knight and all that stuff, it's tough. So like for Marvel, I would have to put up there in the mix of all of them. No order. I'm going to throw this one in there. Then I would go Spider-Man 2. I would go Spider-Man No Way Home.
And that's just it. Like when I say recency bias included, I'm aware of this. But if I had to really sit down and think about my favorite comic book movies, I couldn't do that right now after having just seen this movie, because so much about like what movie is your favorite is where you were at the time when you were watching it, and how that movie impacted you at the time. So for us, if we, when we look at No Way Home and you get the throwbacks to Garfield and Maguire movies, when you look at Endgame, like you can't tell me that watching Endgame today is going to be the same for people as when we saw it in the theater when it first came out.
Not at all. Not at all.
So there are going to be people who justifiably say, well, Endgame's good, but I wouldn't put it that high up there.
Wolverine and Deadpool's better. Yeah.
Right? Like, and I would understand that, because if I went to rewatch Endgame again, I'm like, Endgame is good. It is. Yeah. But it's not going to be as good as it was when I first saw it.
Agreed. I can wholeheartedly agree with that, dude. I really, really, truly can, because it's about the audience payoff that we waited for and built to. Like, if you didn't watch the Raimi and the Mark Webb movies, then No Way Home doesn't hit that hard for you. It's just
not at all. It's cool. It's really cool, but it does. It's like you said, it doesn't hit that hard. And I think if you haven't seen
Logan,
if you haven't seen Logan, if you haven't seen any of the other X-Men movies, even not necessarily First Class, but the first and second X-Men movies, even the third, with Pyro. Like, you're not going to get the same out of it as you would anything else. Like, do you need to watch Daredevil to get anything out of it? No, but it helps. Do you need to watch Fantastic Four to get anything out of it? No, but it helps.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, like, this is one of those movies where it pays off the audience that have either watched all of it or have been watching it since the beginning, like us old fuckers.
Exactly. I agree. And it's just very, very refreshing. Like, people are like, "Oh, Marvel's back." Like, other than some missteps on Disney Plus, I don't think
Marvel ever went away.
I don't think Marvel went away. No. I mean, was the Marvels horrible? Yes, it was. It is absolutely.
I still haven't seen that. If I'm honest, I still haven't seen it.
I know. I don't think you should. It's Trek.
I will watch it because Iman Vellani is, like, I absolutely fucking love her as Ms. Marvel, so I will watch it for her.
Yeah.
Whether I like, and I'll be honest, when I'm done, I'm like, if I didn't like it, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I honestly, at this point, I think I'm circling the drain with what I have to say about this movie.
I am too. I think it's overkill if we keep it going longer.
Yeah.
But...
So I think that we'll put a pin in the discussion as it is right now. Like, we're gonna come back and talk about it again in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
We'll try not to talk about it next week. I think that, I don't know if you intend to see The Crow when that movie hits in a month.
I intend to see it.
Okay, good. I'm curious what you think about that one. As you know, I have a fondness for the original movie, so
right now I'm going in really with a sour taste in my mouth from what I'm seeing. I really am.
I'm going in with the same mentality that I take into everything. I hope I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, my expectations aren't as high as they would have been for this.
Right. Of course. Absolutely.
So I think I'll leave it here with this one. I went into this movie with, admittedly, pretty high expectations. And it more than delivered.
Oh, unbelievable.
Right? Like, if we go back to the thumbs up rating we used to do when watching movies. Like at the beginning of when we did, 2 thumbs way up for me.
Way up, as high as they can go, because this is refreshing. Like, remember the one movie that I remember, and then we are circling the drain, but the one movie that we went in with, like, the highest of expectations that year was Wonder Woman 84 after that first trailer. And I expected this mega event, blockbuster, life-changing movie, and I was like, what? I barely ever watch it again. If it's on, I skim a couple parts because some of it's funny, but then I just don't have anything to do with it. I don't care. Yeah. This movie is going to be a rewatch for sure.
Agreed.
But with that being said, you know where to find us.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.